guys, hi, welcome back once again. My name is Vaishali and today I'd like to talk about the recently much celebrated Women's Day. So first let's inquire as to why are we celebrating Women's Day in the first place? Because for most part of our human history, his story and his tree, we'll understand that given the system of patriarchy across globe, or at least most parts of the globe, women as a gender were not the forerunners of the family, not the forerunners of any community, not the forerunners of nation, and therefore most women did not hold powerful leadership positions. Also, let's understand that when we talk about Women's Day, we are essentially talking about the gender that women represent. Now let's peel the onion a little more. Let's take a little deeper dive into the core of that onion, into the core of that ocean, into the core of that thought process, into the core of that feeling. So when we talk about women empowerment, we are actually only restricting, or we are seeing it through the narrow lens of it coming to a gender, for a gender, from a gender, towards a gender. And probably, and quite unfortunately, it does not limit itself to that. It does not limit itself to gender. Because I think most of us who have had studied science to some degree, who have had certain understanding about the biology of human beings, will understand that there is a woman in every man, or there is an essence of every woman in every man, and there is an essence of every man in every woman as well. And that essence is not just biological. That essence is also emotional. That essence is also mental. And there's a constant interplay. There's a constant interaction between the biological, between the physical, between the emotional and the mental. It cannot be otherwise. So coming back to the story and to the inquiry, why are we celebrating Women's Day? Because probably given the system of patriarchy, given the system where a man's world was created for a man itself, of course, the women, or the essence of the women, had to take the side or the back seat, never the driver's seat, which in itself reveals to us that it is just not the gender, it is just not the biology, but essentially the essence of the women in every man and in every woman that had taken the back seat, that was placed on the side, but probably never was walked in itself, besides itself, by its own side. Which also again tells us that we have quite a dysfunctional relationship even with our own identities. We address a certain aspect of us, we accept and respect a certain aspect about our own biology, thereby about our emotion and about our psychology, but we disregard and discard a certain aspect about ourselves, which invariably also tells us that we do not embrace the whole of us. And whether we talk only in terms of gender, wherein one gender for the longest time had been pushed aside or had taken a back seat, there is this essence of that gender that within every man had been placed on the back seat, had been pushed aside. And as a result of that, women, in terms of the gender, in order to fit into the man's world, probably then either had to underplay their own feminine essence or had to overplay their own masculine essence. Or they probably even overplayed their own feminine essence and underplayed their own masculine essence. On the other hand, the men could have done the similar thing, to live into, to fit into a man's world. The resultant of which in all likelihood is that we probably, most of us, never felt whole as the person. And in order to fill a certain gaping hole, in order to fit a certain mold, we'll always keep looking outside of ourselves to make us feel whole. So the idea then may not necessarily be to just celebrate the gender aspect of womanhood, but the idea may probably be to celebrate the essence of women that lives within every man, to celebrate the essence of women and a man as well that lives in every woman as well. The idea may not necessarily be to debate who's better than who, but the idea may just be that both exists within all of us, and if we fight within our own selves, we are already on the losing ground. So let's try and get beyond the gender. Let's try and identify our wholeness as the essence of womanhood and as the essence of manhood that exists among all of us. Because unless we acknowledge that, unless we embrace that, we'll forever be fighting a battle, not only amongst ourselves but within ourselves also, trying to better up the other. And of course, if one essence has to be better than the other, one has to step down. One essence within us, amongst us, has to step down, has to take a back seat. Let's try to heal the wounds, the emptiness that has existed for so long because of this disparity, because of this conflict, because of the internal and the external wars, because of the internal and the external competitions that have existed for centuries, that have made up our histories, our stories. Let's try and change our stories. Let's rewrite our stories by embracing our whole self. If we do want to celebrate Women's Day, let's try and celebrate the essence first rather than just the gender. Let's try and think about all of that, and I will see you once again the next week. Till then, stay tuned in. And guys, if you do like the contents of my videos, please do like, share and subscribe.